Hello and welcome to Recovery Weekly, an interactive weekly program used to guide you, the family member of an individual with a substance abuse problem, through the process of recovery. I'm your host, Scott Kaling, joined as always by my co-host, Ian Koch. Ian is a licensed drug and alcohol counselor, as well as an internationally certified addiction specialist for NortheastAddictionConsultants.com. Thanks for joining me today, Ian.
Absolutely. Good morning.
Morning. Today on the show we have Todd Crandell. He's a professional counselor and licensed chemical dependency counselor, and also a founder and president of Racing for Recovery. He has dedicated his personal and professional life to achieving the goal of preventing substance abuse in adolescents and individuals. Thanks for joining us today, Todd.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Now, I think that you have one of the great stories about recovery, and I think that just in choosing to overcome your demons, it says a lot, but what was it for you that went through your head on April 15th, 1993, when you finally said, enough is enough?
Well, thank you for your kind words. And before I answer that, just let me say this, that I think anybody who has overcome addiction, we all have, that bond and that story. But I've always felt that if we've been blessed with sobriety, we have to do something to give it back. So to get back specifically to your question, on April 15th of 1993, and I don't want to sound all weird to everybody, but I believe that I got a gift from God, and I also believe that my mom, who committed suicide when I was 3 because of her addiction, I think those two somehow, I don't know what happened, but I just said, enough is enough. I don't want this lifestyle anymore. I want to get better. I will get better. And I quit. And from that moment on until today, I've been on a quest to improve myself physically, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, and like I said, give it back to help everybody else.
So about 6 years into your sobriety, you decide you want to run the Ironman triathlon for the first time. What exactly compelled you to do something so extreme?
Well, since I just finished my 21st Ironman yesterday, I kept thinking, why am I still doing these things? But I've always had an athletic background. I ruined a promising hockey career through my drug addiction, and one of the first things I did in my sobriety was get back to being physically active, because it helps with, eliminating depression, addiction, as I'm sure, Ian can testify to. So I wanted to do something that was an extreme endurance sport that could not only get myself back together on a variety of levels, but I wanted to show people, with sobriety, anything is possible. Look what you can do here. And that was the catalyst of me getting into the Ironman. And I guess still is to this day. Yesterday when I was out on the course, I had people, that would say, hey, Racing for Recovery, or, whatever. And so it's just another example of showing people what can be done.
I think it's funny how, we talk about like the alcoholic mind and how alcoholics and addicts, go from 0 to 60 in, 2 seconds. And part of the alcoholic mind is I want more. I personally, I'm not happy in just playing baseball. I need to kite surf. I need to do one of the most extreme and dangerous sports out there. And I think it's real funny how, you go from...
Well, we're back. We had a little technical difficulty there. Everything shut down on us. But Ian, you left off speaking on the fact that you enjoy kite surfing as, I guess, your way of coping in some cases. You want to expand on that a little?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a way of coping. I would say that my experience, my personal experience, as well as with many addicts and alcoholics that I've worked with, is that we're extreme people. We go from we're not the type that casually would like to relax on the couch and read a book. We're looking for excitement. It's part of why we end up finding drugs and alcohol, because it relieves that symptom of boredom. And I often talk about how sobriety really is the problem, and that untreated sobriety is what always leads back to a relapse. So for myself and Todd and anyone else who's in recovery, it really is important to find something that's exciting, that you're passionate about, that you want to be a part of. I know some guys in Vermont who are really big into wakeboarding in the summer and snowboarding in the winter. You know, they're doing stuff, they're getting active. I know a lot of people who go to the gym and ride bikes and do things. They're hiking and being a part of life, where, you know, when we're sitting on the bar stool thinking about, oh, one day I'm going to do this, you know, those dreams can really come true in sobriety for people.
You know, Ian, you just made a great comment. You said that sitting on the bar stool saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. My dad used to call me Mr. I'm Gonna.
Yeah.
Because I was, and that's no kidding. It was always, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to quit drinking, I'm going to do whatever. And you're exactly right. It's just taking that negative way of how we self-destructed and turning it into anything that is productive, whether it's exercise, education, spirituality, whatever. It's the same mindset. It's just channeled into something productive as opposed to destructive.
Yeah.
And imagine this is what propelled you to start Racing for Recovery. And now, what exactly is the philosophy of Racing for Recovery?
A nonprofit that I started in 2001, simply to prevent substance abuse in adolescents, and then show not only substance abusers, but their families and society as well, that recovery is possible. This was not a program that was to be in competition with any traditional 12-step program whatsoever. It was a way of taking, you know, like I said before, a negative addiction and turning it into a balanced, holistic way of living that incorporates a physical aspect, a spiritual, emotional, intellectual, and a solid social, helping people, basically.
Okay. Now let's get more into what the life at Todd Crandell is like. What's a typical day in your life like?
Well, the typical day for me was to wake up and be upset that I was alive. That really is how bad it got at the end. And I know all of us that have battled addiction, it's all basically the same story. But for me, I'd wake up the first thing in the morning and be like, God darn it, why didn't that stuff that I took last night, why didn't it kill me? So then the remaining of the day was basically going about my business. Who did I lie to last night? Where do I need the money to support my addiction today? I'm physically strung out on these drugs. You know, where am I at today? Are my lights going to get shut off? What drug dealer do I need to lie to or steal from or do? It's just the madness that became my life as a drug addict. And it was just horrific. The difference between living and dying basically became non-existent, and it just wasn't fun anymore.
And nowadays?
Oh my God! It's so hard. Yeah, well, it's so hard when you're in the throes of addiction, and when I'm counseling people, and I know Ian does the same thing. I wish I could develop something that, you know, here, take this pill, and you will think the way I do right now. But the first step in this for me was really to just believe in myself that I deserved a life of sobriety. I think that was the absolute catalyst that turned everything around. For the first time in my life, I was going to stop drinking for me and not to try and please anybody else.
Yeah.
Very good.
A common thread I hear often of folks who really get sober, not just like get sober and relapse all the time, but really get sobriety, is they have a feeling of being tired. You know, yep. they're just tired of it. They're not willing to play the games anymore. They're not willing to deal with the lies. They're just tired. And for families who watch this, if your son or daughter is out there and they're still playing games, they're not tired yet. They're just not there yet.
Great point. It's, and I also think in that too, I had stopped drinking, and I encounter this with a lot of my clients. Anybody can stop drinking. Okay. It's a matter of, am I going to live the life of what drinking not means? That's the difference, and Ian was talking about being tired. I call it just like, hey, I quit drinking so I actually could live what a life means to not drink. Doing Ironmans, traveling, having kids, being educated, being spiritual, those are the things that the life without using drugs gave to me. And I'm not tired anymore today. Even after doing an Ironman the other day, I'm excited to do another one. It's like, I want more of what this life has to offer.
Mm.
Yeah, and there's no better way to live life fully than just be immersed in whatever you're doing, which I imagine this requires of you, the training. Is it beginning of the day to the end of the day, kind of you have to have it all planned out so you can get your training in sort of idea?
Yeah, I kind of look at my life today as Groundhog Day. It's the same thing over and over with a couple minor variations, but it's an awesome Groundhog Day. I get up, first thing in the morning, and I get my physical stuff done. Not only so I can compete in an Ironman or an Ultraman or whatever I'm doing, but the physical benefits that just help with alleviate depression, cravings with respect to addiction. It's a great way just to enhance my overall day, let alone to be able to put my body through what I do with Ironman. But, I'm a father in addition to that. I'm a counselor, as I've said a couple of times. So to start my day off with exercise enables me to be the best in every other thing that I'm going to do for the remainder of the day.
Very good. And have you faced any major repercussions due to your demanding schedule?
Tough question. To be brutally honest, yes. Because we have that, and I hate to even say this, but that addictive personality or what have you. For a while, Ironman kind of ruled my life because I was doing it to promote racing for recovery. It's caused my family life to suffer quite a bit. I'm thankful that I've recognized that, and I'm doing everything I can to make the personal and professional changes because I don't want to lose my family over obviously helping other people. Physically, I've been okay, remarkably, a couple nicks and knacks here and there, but other than that, no, I'm good. So the only thing that has been a detriment to this is containing my own, and again, I hate using this word, my own addiction, or I got to find a different word than that. My other, let's keep it in balance. I have to constantly stay in balance is the correct term to use there.
It's the most elusive thing for addicts and alcoholics.
Yes.
Is balance. But to be honest, it's good to hear that, I think some people get, when people get sober and then they're a year, maybe 2 years sober, they hit, excuse me, they hit some sort of bump in the road and they feel like, what am I not doing right? Why am I feeling like this? What's wrong with me? That's all that is about life happening. And sobriety isn't about running away from life. It's not about cupcakes and ice cream cones all the time. It's about life, and it's about dealing with life without running to a bottle or running to a drug to make you feel better. And it's about trudging through those times, walking earnestly through those times with your head held high. And when you recognize that something isn't right in your life, being able to reevaluate and move in the opposite direction. I mean, I'm doing some of that in my personal life now, making some adjustments, and the path I'm on is getting narrow, so we're going to take a right-hand turn, and that's one of the gifts of sobriety, really, that it is. You're not stuck in one. It's like when I was drinking and using, I felt like I was dealt a hand of cards, and those were the only cards I was allowed to play. But what I found in sobriety, that really I'm playing Go Fish. And I can trade in a card at any time I want for another card.
Great analogy. Absolute great analogy. You know, I want to say this. We have a latest movie that came out. It's called Running with Demons. And when we completed this, people were asking me, well, what's your message with this film? And I really think that these 4 components have been my message since I started this. And that is, the first thing, everybody can get sober. Anybody can achieve sobriety. That's the first thing. The second thing is, you can do anything you put your mind to in sobriety. Our slogan at Racing for Recovery is, with sobriety, anything is possible. So that's the second piece. The third part is what Ian was talking about here, too. None of us are immune from life's hardships. I'm sure Ian gets this, too. You know, people say to me, God, you've got a great life. Look at what you get to do. And they're absolutely right. I am blessed beyond belief. But that does not mean that I'm immune from hardships. You know, people die. People walk out of our life. You know, you lose jobs. You know, what have you. But the fourth thing is I am not drunk to deal with life's hardships. And that's the bottom line. No matter what gets dealt to me, I am not going to use drugs or alcohol to deal with that. And through that pain and that hardship and struggle and all that stuff comes growth, experience, education that improves us as people, and then we can use that to help somebody else along the way. And that, to me, is what living a life without drugs is all about.
Exactly. Now, what advice do you have for the struggling addict who doesn't think they're quote-unquote ready to make the leap into sobriety?
I truly believe this. I wouldn't have said this when I was initially in my sobriety, but now that I've become a counselor, I truly believe that we have to find the reasons why we are choosing to hurt ourselves with drugs and alcohol. When you find somebody to talk to who's been down the road that you've been there, has the education that can help you realize that those emotional hurts that we've suffered for years, you know, physical abuse, death, all kinds of stuff, that we can begin to heal from those. Notice I didn't use the word get cured from, but we can begin to heal from without using drugs or alcohol to deal with. And you take that coupled with building self-esteem, and that is where, in my opinion, you have a pretty good chance of making it.
Very good. Thanks for being on the show, Todd. How can people get in contact with you to inquire about running for recovery or racing for recovery, or your book, From Addict to Iron Man?
Anybody can get a hold of us through racingforrecovery.com. We're here to help in any capacity that we can, and I'm just truly thankful for what this program has done for people, and I'm thankful for you guys talking to me today.
Great. And if you need help getting your loved one on the path to recovery, please call 1-800-723-1073 for a free consultation, or visit northeastaddictionconsultants.com. Next week, it'll just be me and Ian talking about functional addicts. Until then, we here at Northeast Addiction Consultants wish you and your loved one